Cruise Rental Car number 119, and today I'm driving the 2019 Nissan Frontier SV. This is the 4x4 with a crew cab. Crew cab meaning it's actually the smallest of the bed lengths on this truck. This one's 59.5 inches long, but you can get the king cab or the crew cab long bed with a 73.3 inch bed if you're interested. This one also comes in cayenne red metallic with steel cloth interior, but that's just Nissan's marketing talk, meaning it's a red truck with black interior. This one has 16-inch alloy wheels and MSRPs for around $30,000. Under the hood, we got a 4.0-liter 24-valve V6 engine. This one's the 5-speed automatic transmission. This thing kicks out an impressive 261 horsepower at 5,600 RPMs. Has a towing capacity of 6,100 pounds and gets okay gas mileage. 15 miles per gallon in the city, 21 on the highway with a 21.1 gallon fuel tank. Gas might be right now is about $2.30 a gallon, give or take a little bit. So that means you can fill this thing up by me for about $48. Alright, so enough with the specs. Let's talk about what it's actually like to drive this truck in the real world. First off, handling. I was impressed. Feels stable and tight around the corners. The truck doesn't pull at all, so it helped me feel really confident while I was driving this thing. It's also easy to park, so despite being a larger vehicle, especially compared to the sedans I typically rent, this truck was easy to maneuver into small parking spots, which is it's a big plus in my book. Let's also talk about acceleration real quick. This thing is pretty fun. The V6 is responsive, so when you need speed, it's definitely there. And the engine sounds great when you're accelerating hard, which, at least in my opinion, adds to a little bit more of the fun aspect to when you're driving this truck. The only real complaint I have, and it's a pretty minor one, is cabin noise. This is where the Frontier could probably improve just a little bit. Now, it's not horrible, but I did notice at higher speeds I had to turn the volume up on my podcast just a little bit more than I typically do, so it's definitely not a deal breaker, but it's something I wanted to mention, just to be safe. Okay, real quick, before I get into the interior of the vehicle, a lot of you always ask me to honk the horn. I always forget, so let me do that real quick right now. Yeah, I gotta be honest, they all sound identical to me. I don't hear much of a difference.
Here's the key fob on the Frontier. Fairly small fob made out of kind of a light feeling plastic. 3 buttons on the front, lock, unlock, and a panic button. Nothing on the back. You also get a physical key with this one. Let's see if I can grab one with just one hand. Nissan's logo right there on the front, nothing on the back. Let's turn the truck on so we can watch it boot up. So here's the steering wheel setup. On the left-hand side, you have a volume control, buttons to interact with your cell phone, along with 2 controls to adjust things on the touchscreen. Cruise controls on the right-hand side. Up above, we get a gauge cluster with a number of gauges. Temperature and battery, along with your RPMs on the left-hand side, speedometer, fuel gauge on the right-hand side. No big fancy digital screen on this. You just get a small readout right here that shows you what gear you're in, your odometer, and your trip counter. On the left, we get our window controls and door locks, along with a latch and a lock right here. Up on the dash, you have your mirror controls, descent controls, and then a cargo lamp button. Side view mirrors are fairly large, which is nice because it makes it easy to see around the truck, but you do not get blindside detection with this one. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't drive too many pickups, but I found this one fairly easy to drive and pretty easy to reverse too, because I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, but you do get a rear view camera. So if you shift the car into reverse, you'll see that it pops up with a nice display showing you what's behind the vehicle. I'm in a parking lot, and you can easily see the cars and the lines in the road through this display. So that's great. Let me put it back into park. Up top, we have a sunglass holder, along with 2 lights. Your rear view mirror is fairly simple, no buttons on it of any kind. Below there, you get a nice storage cutout, which probably perfect for some sunglasses or maybe a toll pass. And then we have our display. I think this is a nice size. This is the home screen, so you see you have some big bright icons to jump through all the features on the vehicle. Not a whole lot to play around with here. There's not a bunch of fancy apps loaded on this one, but you do have the basics. You can connect your phone via Bluetooth, which I've done already.
Vanishing.
And this is the screen that you'll see when you're playing something on your cell. Really easy to control. The connection has remained solid the whole time I've been driving this car, and I was able to connect my phone via Bluetooth within, I'd say, maybe 10 seconds. It was a pretty fast process, and that makes me fairly happy. I guess this is my long-winded way of saying nice display with some dedicated controls on the left-hand side and a volume knob. But if you're looking for a ton of apps and the latest technology, this probably isn't it. Below there you have your hazard button right here, along with your climate controls, fan and temperature knobs to adjust things, controls to adjust the direction the vents are blowing, defroster setting, and then you can control whether or not you're going to open the vents to the outside or not. Below there you get your four-wheel drive controls. It's just a simple dial, so this is 2 to 4H settings, high-speed four-wheel drive. I can't put it into the 4 low setting because the car's not moving, but all I really want to point out here is that it is very simple to switch between the settings while you're on the move. You also get a traction control button right here and then a small storage cutout. Below there you get a larger storage cutout, an area that I think is pretty much perfect to keep your cell phone. Next to that you get your gear shift. It's actually much bigger than what I see on the sedans I typically drive. You also get an overdrive button right here. All that I think is important to point out is that it's really simple to shift the gears, and this is wrapped in kind of a rubbery plastic material which makes it easy to grip. Next to that you get a small storage cutout, and then up on the dash you also get an auxiliary jack, a USB port, and also a power port right here. Behind there we get our parking brake. I can actually operate it. 2 cup holders, and then we also get a center armrest. It opens up to reveal a pretty large storage area. It's also got kind of this modular storage system that looks pretty much perfect to keep maybe some business cards and some change, and then you get an additional power port right there. And then over on the passenger side we get 2 glove boxes with the Frontier. The one on top, pretty much a shelf system right here that's perfect to keep your registration, your owner's manual. And then down below you get more of a storage, I should say a standard glove box with a little bit of a larger area to store some bigger items. I jumped in the back seat. I want to quickly mention that this driver's seat is pushed back a good ways, but not all the way. And at this setting, I do not have a lot of legroom back here. There's maybe an inch or two between my knee and the back of that seat, and although I'm comfortable, I'm not sure I'd want to ride around for a long time back here like this. I also want to point out that there is a pocket on the back of the driver's seat. It's made out of a cloth material, and it's fairly loose, so it looks like you can get, plenty of items back here if you want. Although, there is no similar pocket on the back of the passenger seat. Down below, on the back of the center armrest for the front seat, you do get some cup holders that fold out, but there are no dedicated vents or any power ports of any kind on here, just these 2 cup holders. On the door you get a volume control. You get a window control, door latch, and door lock. And then on the back of the seat itself there is no foldable center armrest, although you do get a pretty simple control to open up the rear window. Last thing I want to point out are the car seat anchors. Nissan always does a good job with these. The fabric itself is kind of cut open a little bit, and then all you have to do is sort of pinch this, and you'll see that the car seat anchor is easily exposed. So, if you do want to install a car seat on the Frontier, it should be fairly simple to do.
Also, I want to point out that you can pull up on this little lever right here, and then the seats will fold upwards to reveal some smaller storage areas underneath. This is a great feature. Not only do you have a place to keep some additional tools, but it opens up the back of the truck quite a bit, so you can maybe haul around some larger items if you need to. Real quick, I had some camera issues while I was filming this thing, so I had to swap out some footage from an older version of this truck. This shot right here is actually from the 2018 Pro 4X trim level. It's the same basic setup, especially when you lift up that rear seat. I just didn't have that perfect shot showing you that additional storage bin, so sorry about that. All right, so back to the 2019 SV model. The last thing we have to talk about is the bed back here. As I mentioned before, this is the crew cab, so that means you get a bed length of 59.5 inches. That's from the front of the truck to the rear. Everything looks solid back here. The bed lining is pretty tough. The door itself is made out of some pretty strong materials, so it should be able to take some punishment. And you also get 4 hooks on the corners of the bed back here to help tie down some things. You'll notice that the wheel wells do infringe on the space a little bit, but they don't eat up a lot of real estate, so I don't think it should be a problem. I'm also happy to report that Nissan still has a spare tire. It's not true of all manufacturers. It's tucked underneath the rear of this truck and looks like it's fairly easy to get access to. All right, so that's pretty much everything end to end on the 2019 Nissan Frontier SV. You know, I see this truck getting a lot of hate online. Mostly the criticism is for the outdated design choices that Nissan has made. You know, certainly the touchscreen is not the latest and greatest, and, you know, there probably could be a couple bells and whistles added to this thing to keep it competitive with, you know, Ford and Chevy, but at least in my opinion, when I'm looking for a pickup, I don't really care if it has the latest touchscreen and the latest technology. Just want something dependable that can take a little punishment, and I think the Frontier fits into that category. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time when I rent and review my 120th rental car. I'll see you then.